Hey guys, we're back. So we have our next team, Team Buck. They have 12 minutes. So Bala and Chaitanya, over to you guys.
Hey, thank you, Arvind. So we are Team Buck. So what we are making a financial app, personal finance app for consumers in India, and we want consumers to think of it as a friend who they can trust when it comes to making their financial decisions. If we move forward, okay, what are we making? As I just said, personal. It's a consumer app, and what is it supposed to do? It's supposed to help them make and stick to right behavioral decisions when it comes to personal finance. Why behavioral decisions? Because the logistical and functional aspects of it, spend trackers, budgeting apps, investment apps, zero commission investing, etc., they've all been solved for. But an unsolved high leverage problem that is still around in the personal finance space is helping users build the right behaviors. And who are we building this for? It's for young professionals in India. They are comfortable making their financial decisions digitally. They are typically well off than their parents as India moves upwards, and at the same time, they're tired and confused when it comes to personal finance. Next slide, please. Now, I want to set a brief context about personal finance from Morgan Housel, one of the most respected economists of our times. And if you look at the slide, you see how simple he makes it look. But the reality is also that it is very simple. The challenge is, while it is simple, it's not easy. The most critical aspect of the slide for me is the bottommost one, where he says, managing money isn't necessarily about what you know, it's how you behave. If you go to the next slide, you will see, the returns on money are exponentially higher. The marginal returns are exponentially higher if you just get your behavioral principles right when it comes to money. In fact, they're so high, like the tactics above it, day trading, stock picking, efficient portfolio frontier, all this is unnecessary for 99% of the people if they just get the behavioral principles right. A good analogy that I find works very well is fitness. If you eat right, if you exercise most of the days and you eliminate liquid calories, that's good enough for most of us. All the others is practically unnecessary. So if you go to the next slide, I think it's just the same point now to say, okay, great, behaviors impact the personal finance of an individual a lot, but how does the individual realize it? What is the specific pain point of the individual? The individual, it manifests itself as feelings of incapability, anxiety, guilt, and FOMO when there are specific trigger points. That is how. For example, I realize I'm on a bad personal financial situation. I install a new spend tracker app. I track my expenses for a few days. I go on a trip. I stop tracking. Then I go back to the same old rat. I realize this again, and there is this vicious behavior cycle that I fall into. And the outcome of that is I feel incapable, anxious, and guilt at when specific triggers occur. Now, from that consumer's pain point comes our job to be done for the consumer. Our job is we want to make them feel competent and comfortable when they think about their money management and personal finance situation. That is our single job to be done. Now, very quickly, how do you do that? The $1 million question. Great. Okay, how do you change the behavior of a person? Obviously, it's not an easy. And this hackathon, very clearly, is just the first step in that direction for us. Now, what have we done? We said, listen, we will use the predictably irrational behavior of people, which has been well established now, for their own benefit. Specifically, you will see in our demo that we've used three behaviors of people. One is loss aversion, where we treat equal losses as more painful than equal gains. We treat losses as more closer to us than gains. Second is the choice paralysis, where it is easier and more satisfactory for people to make to quickly take a decision when presented with fewer choices than more choices. And the third one is goal setting theory, wherein if you make a goal specific and actionable, then it also drives to intrinsic motivation among people. Now, if you very quickly go to our demo, what we have done is we've demoed a couple of scenarios. The first scenario we'll look at is the profile of a super saver. This is your typical Indian middle class grown up kid, right? Heard from parents that savings are very important. Has been saving from day one from 7 years of his from 7 years of his working. So we've mocked 7 years of income data. We've mocked 7 years of expenses by categories, by fixed expenses, discretionary expenses, and savings. And for this example, we simply assume this person has kept all his money in the bank account. Now let's see how that person will see Buck. Like the first screen he sees is, okay, great, your net worth is 51.4 lakhs. Now he goes on to see, here is where we bring in the loss aversion principle. We say your net worth could have been 64.6 lakhs. We are also using language that makes him feel that this is my money that I have lost. It's not that I have left 13 odd lakhs on the table because I didn't make very simple decisions. Now, obviously, the person will want to know more at this point. So we'll take him down his his behavior. We show, hey, sorry. So we say, hey, you've done a great job with your spending. We go by the 40-40-20 rule, 40% for saving, 40% for fixed expenses, and 20% for sending. Okay, you've done a great job with respect to your spending. And by the same rule, you've done a great job with respect to your saving as well. But where you've not done a good job is your investments. It's a very small change. Now, here comes the second point I made, wherein analysis paralysis, wherein here we give him three very actionable steps as to what to do next. You just buy a life cover, you start an SIP in an index fund, just an index fund. Sorry, I forgot to mention that opportunity cost that we are calculating there, there is no black magic there. It's very simple. We took 80% of his income and put it in an index fund every month. That's all. And he would have gained 13 lakhs by now. So you start an SIP in an index fund, you plan for your immediate goals. That's all you need to do. Okay. Now, okay, great. We've told him this is what has been wrong. We've given him an easy way to start a new habit. Now comes the point of sticking to your habit. And we realized the easiest way to help to make people stick to their habit is give, like I said, the goal motivation theory. Give them a goal they can work towards. And one common goal we've realized while talking to all our friends and colleagues who are in our target audience is financial independence. Now we say, listen, we are calculating a financial independence score. Again, this is a famous study by Trinity College where they've given calculations as to how much money you need for become financially independent. We can discuss it offline if need be. But using that, we say, hey, you are 23% there in your financial journey. This will be a tracker for him. So if he's on the right path, if he continues to invest year on year, month on month, he sees himself moving forward on this path. We've done a very similar analysis for a different kind of user who's a heavy spender, who does not save. For him, obviously, the numbers turn out to be different. For the advice turns out to be different. For him, the advice could be are only three things again. First save for an emergency fund, then start an SIP, then plan for goals. So Now, while we've done these two cases, behavioral finance is an ocean. There is a lot more to be done. For example, you see here, we can identify opportunity costs of a user based on the preferences of the user. For example, I love dining out. So if I'm thinking of buying a DSLR camera and I'm at a crossroads wondering whether I should do it or not, this thing can intervene and say, hey, it's worth 18 dinners at your favorite restaurant. I'm integrating with UKI, you can actually help them make those impulse purchases. As Daniel Kahneman prays, bring in their system 2, make them wait for 1 minute, and suddenly their system 2 will come in and they'll realize maybe this is not something I need. If you go into the
4 minutes, that includes all Q&A.
Okay, let's go to the last slide. The last slide is we want to even bring in a social aspect of it where people compare their financial independence scores, like what Cult is doing. Then we bring in the spend tracker integration, etc. I'm going to stop here and take questions.
Hi. Very good idea. Just wanted to clarify a couple of things.
Sure.
What's the state of your demo? I know this was all.
So I've clearly called out the slide number 9 where you see all those things. Those are all Chaitanya, if you could just show slide number 9. Those are all mocks. But the state, in terms of the demo, we finished our account aggregator integration. Didn't show it just for the sake of, in the interest of time. So whatever we've shown as part of the demo, like say it can calculate your current net worth, it can calculate what your net worth has been, and it can calculate what your financial independence score is. All that part is built and accounted for. Account aggregator integration is also done. But the other parts are just mocks, like the UPI integration I've shown, or the opportunity cost mock I've shown. Those are just mocks as of
now. What's your take on, in order to get really useful to the user, how much of data, what should be the coverage of data that is needed before you can be really useful? Because clearly if you get only a slice of the view, then 90% usefulness is not enough, I think.
No, very true. But I think the more data we get, obviously, the better we get. But somewhere I also think users are also somewhere simple. Like you can probably categorize them into 6 or 7 broad categories. You can say this guy is a heavy spender, this guy is a cautious spender, you can say this guy saves but does not spend, or this guy does not invest enough. And so even if you get a slice of data, you can still manage to construct a view of the user which is reasonably useful, even if it is not 100%. Like at the end of the day, when it comes to finance, for the target group, especially the target group we are going after, I wouldn't say they are very heterogeneous. They're reasonably homogeneous.
Thanks.
We have 2 minutes, less than that actually, 1.5 minutes left.
Any other questions that we can answer?
None from my side. Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Team Buck, Chaitanya and Venkat. I'm going to remove you guys from stage.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll be back in a few minutes with the next team, Team Paisa Bazaar. So everybody from Team Paisa Bazaar, please be ready. You'll see a notification that says you are being invited to stage. Please accept that notification. And if you see a button on the top right that says go to backstage, click that button.